Okay, so now it's time to open our core.js file. Inside of this file, we start with a new object literal. So it's var, we're going to call it form object equals, and then we have two curly brackets after this semicolon. We start with the method, the only method which will in fact be in this object, which is called select, deselect, checkbox. And we have function. We pass the object instance into this function as parameter. Then we have var class underscore name equals object attribute ID. So this time, as you may remember, I've mentioned obviously classes assigned to our checkboxes have to refer to the ID of the main checkbox in the heading, which is where we get in this attribute, and obviously this is going to be a class name, which we'll use later on to obviously trigger all these checkboxes. So now we check if input, and then we have dot for the class name, and we concatenating using plus sign, class name variable, again plus to concatenate, then checked. If any of these checkboxes with this specific class remove in this case are checked, then and we obviously need to check for the length is more than 0 to find out whether there is any with this class assigned to it, and it's checked. Then object attr attribute checked false, which means the main checkbox in the heading has to be unchecked. And then we trigger all these checkboxes by simply calling the class name attribute checked is also false. That means that obviously if let's say one of the checkboxes in a list, if we go back to our browser, if I check this one and I click on this button now, first of all what it's going to do, it's going to uncheck this one and any other that's checked, and then if I click again, it's going to select all of them again. So that's done for if there is one checked. Then else, if none of them is checked, object, I'm just going to copy this obviously because I don't like typing too much. We're going to make checked, and it's going to be set to true, meaning it has to be checked. And all these checkboxes with this remove class also need to be checked. So checked equals true. And that's everything for our object. Now we obviously need to call this when a specific event occurs. So we're going to start with the document ready. So $sign and short version function. Then semicolon at the end. And we have we're looking for the select -all, which is the class assigned to our main checkbox. Click function. Obviously, we're looking for the click event. If this event has occurred, we're going to execute this function, and our function will simply call a method inside of the form object. So form object dot, and I'm just going to copy this name. And we need to pass the parameter of the object which has actually triggered this event. So simply this. So that's our Java script done for this specific exercise. If we save the file, go back to our browser, refresh it. Now if I'm clicking on this one, you can see this one has been selected. It's unselected. Now I'm clicking on the checkbox in the heading, selects all of them. Clicking again, deselects all of them. I select 2, 3. Click again, it should deselect them first, yeah, and now I'm clicking again, selects all of them. So our functionality for the checkboxes is now done. Let's move to the next video and actually remove all these records, all the specific ones which are actually selected.